How exactly does a legal document launch a massive socioeconomic overhaul without making its specific goals legally binding? To find the answer, look at Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, Fundamental Rights. These establish political democracy by placing strict negative limits on state power. If the state violates these rights, citizens can challenge them in court. They are fully justiciable. Part 4 of the Constitution operates on a different logic. Borrowed from the Irish Constitution, the Directive Principles of State Policy, or DPSPs, are positive obligations. They instruct the state to build a social and economic democracy. Yet Article 37 explicitly states these principles are non-justiciable. You cannot sue the government for failing to fulfill them. This data clarifies the distinction. Fundamental rights guarantee political democracy through legal enforcement. DPSPs aim for social and economic democracy, but rely on moral and political weight rather than court mandates. Granville Austin described the combination of these two parts as the conscience of the Constitution. These instruments of instructions govern legislative priorities and provide the Supreme Court with a critical framework for judicial review. The operational reality of the Indian welfare state is defined by the tension between Parts 3, 4, and IVA, a relationship that forms the basis of modern constitutional jurisprudence. The Constitution itself does not classify these directives. Instead, scholars organize Articles 36 through 51 based on their ideological intent. We map these principles into 3 categories: socialist, Gandhian, and liberal intellectual. Socialist principles focus on economic justice. Article 38 requires the state minimize inequalities, while Article 39 prevents wealth concentration and ensures equal pay. This bucket also secures the right to work under Article 41, demands humane working conditions in Article 42, and mandates a living wage in Article 43. The Gandhian framework focuses on grassroots governance. Article 40 tasks the state with organizing autonomous village panchayats, while another clause of Article 43 promotes cottage industries in rural areas. It also mandates social protections. Article 46 covers the interests of SCs and STs, while Articles 47 and 48 prohibit intoxicating drinks and the slaughter of milk cattle. The liberal intellectual bucket contains some of the most frequently cited provisions. Article 44 directs the state to secure a uniform civil code, and Article 45 focuses on early childhood care and education. Finally, Article 50 requires the separation of the judiciary from the executive, while Article 51 tasks the state with promoting international peace. This structural blueprint provides a comprehensive vision for India's governance, directing the state's long-term legislative trajectory. The original 1950 list was a starting point, but the framers left room for Parliament to engineer and expand the welfare state as the nation's needs evolved. Since independence, 4 major constitutional amendments have added new directives to this framework. The 42nd Amendment in 1976 added Article 39A for free legal aid, 39F for the healthy development of children, 43A for worker participation in management, and 48A to safeguard the environment. 2 years later, the 44th Amendment added Clause 2 to Article 38, specifically requiring the state to minimize inequalities in status and facilities. In 2002, the 86th Amendment moved elementary education out of the DPSP and into a fundamental right under Article 21A. Article 45 was then updated to cover early childhood care for children up to age 6. Finally, the 97th Amendment in 2011 added Article 43B regarding the management of cooperative societies. Directives also exist outside Part 4, such as Article 335 for SC and ST services and Article 350A for mother tongue instruction. These hold equal importance in the eyes of the judiciary. These amendments demonstrate that the DPSP is a living mandate responding to India's shifting socio-economic landscape. If Parliament passes a law to implement a DPSP, but that law infringes on a citizen's fundamental right, which part of the Constitution prevails? This question triggered a 30-year legal battle fought within the Supreme Court. This timeline weights Part 3, including the rights to equality, freedom, and the former right to property, against the socialist directives in Part 4, specifically Articles 39B and C. In 1951, the Chambacom-Dorirajan ruling established that fundamental rights are supreme, while DPSPs are merely subsidiary. By 1967, in the Golek Nath case, the court ruled that Parliament could amend fundamental rights, even to implement socialist directives. Parliament reacted in 1971 by passing the 24th and 25th Amendments to reassert its legislative power. The 25th Amendment inserted Article 31C, shielding laws that implement Articles 39B and C from being voided by the rights to equality or freedom. For these specific policies, the DPSP took precedence. In the 1973 Kesavananda Bharati case, the court upheld Article 31C's protection, but introduced the basic structure doctrine. Parliament could amend the Constitution, but it could not destroy its core identity. In 1976, the 42nd Amendment attempted to give all DPSPs supremacy over fundamental rights. The 1980 Minerva Mills ruling struck down that overreach, restoring the balance between the two parts. The current constitutional rule is precise. Fundamental rights enjoy general supremacy, except for laws implementing Article 39B and C, which override Articles 14 and 19. While Parts 3 and 4 define the state's role, the ecosystem includes a third component, the responsibilities of the citizen. Part 4A, under Article 51A, outlines 11 fundamental duties. Recommended by the Swaran Singh Committee, these duties apply only to Indian citizens. The 11th duty, added in 2002, requires parents to provide education opportunities to children between 6 and 14. Like the Directive principles, these duties are non-enforceable. There is no direct legal sanction for a violation. However, in 1992, the Supreme Court ruled that these duties assist in determining the constitutional validity of a law. If a law furthers a fundamental duty, the court may consider it reasonable under Articles 14 or 19, using the duty as a legal shield. These three parts function as a single mechanism. Part 3 prevents authoritarianism. Part 4 mandates social welfare. And Part IVA demands civic responsibility. Legislative outcomes like the Panchayati Raj Act, MGNREGA, and the Wildlife Protection Act were born directly from these directives, translating non-justiciable principles into the primary statutes governing rural development and environmental safety. The framework of jurisprudence, these three parts form a balanced ecosystem. To destroy the harmony between them is to destroy the basic structure of the Indian Constitution itself.